Okay, first thing first, I will ask you to calm down. Yes, you read my title right. No, I didn't make a mistake while writing, and would you please not write a comment without watching the whole video? Thank you. Now this isn't a video to bash Resident Evil 4 or to prove you Resident Evil 8 is the best Resident Evil game. It's also a subjective video, so maybe some of my point won't come across to you, but I'll try my best to explain. This video is about what I think Resident Evil 8 is. The short answer is that Resident Evil 8 is all the Resident Evil together. It's an homage to the franchise while being its own thing, by not using nostalgia to make you more susceptible to like it. Let me guide you to my reasoning as I show you my example. At the end of the day, you don't have to think that Resident Evil 8 is the better game in the franchise, but that you understand my point of view is at least what I want. If I'm lucky, you might share the same opinion at the end of the video. Anyway, how about we just start with, well, what else but the beginning?
Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 8 is Resident Evil 4. Okay, maybe not the beginning. I tease you in the title, so I won't make you wait. It's going to fuck my order, but whatever. This game is filled with Resident Evil 4 homage. You're in a village just like in the 4 game. The game is also action heavy with the werewolves surrounding you. They run toward you and slow down to strike. They demand a lot of ammunition and they can use bow to shoot you sometimes. There's a merchant in the game, and I'm going to sidetrack, but Capcom could have used the one from Re4, but they chose a new guy and decided to implement him directly into the story. And, by doing so, the character ended up with more freedom and became my favorite merchant. Now going back, in the story, the hero is trying to protect someone from a group of weird cults, and as they progress, they discover the truth behind the cult. The hero is a badass guy that fight against epic monster and say cool one-liner. In the beginning of the game, you get attacked by multiple monsters, and then you suddenly hear a bell, and that make all the monsters go away. You go into a mine and a castle. There's a water monster that try to eat you. The inventory menu is similar. You can shoot a shiny gem and sell them, and other stuff. Hell, people don't need to ask for a remake of Resident Evil 4. This game is basically it, but with more gameplay and a better story. Now, I know that sentence really made some of you mad, so maybe let me clarify. Resident Evil 4, as far as I remember, scared me way more with those creepy enemy design, such as the insect. The blind guy was also terrifying, and finally the weird immortal breeding monster. I forgot the name of all the monsters, but they really scared me when I was younger, and I couldn't play the game because of the breeding monster. In my opinion, Resident Evil 4 is timeless. At some point, maybe the gameplay would get old and people would start to dislike it, but I still think this game doesn't need a remake. If Capcom want to continue with the remake, they should do Code Veronica or Resident Evil 0 and other stuff alike. Also, Leon is a very cool character with, his "what's up bruh" or laser flipping action, or when he sits on the throne, fucking badass. But at the end of the day, when you play Resident Evil 4, it's tank control. You can move the way you want. You have to turn to move sideways. It's something that can bother people, such as the developer in Dead Space, and because of that, he made his own horror game.
With Resident Evil 4, one thing that we wanted to do was, you walk, and then you want to shoot, you gotta stop. And that's what made it really scary, but I also thought that sometimes took me out, because I'm like, no, I want to be running and shooting. I want to get away from the character. So that's what we did. Well, I didn't want him to stop and have to shoot. I wanted him to be able to turn, shoot, just like you would in real life. That just was a nice place to innovate.
There's also the fact that Leon dropkick enemies, suplex them and run from a boulder and fight against Snipe. The problem isn't that you're a badass. Things can still be creepy as you play with a badass main character, but I think that for some people it can feel less serious and more like a parody. Like Chris when he hit a boulder. It's supposed to be a cool moment where he helped Shiva. Now that scene didn't bother me. It made me laugh, but I can understand that it can feel ridiculous for others. Also, the zombie aspect is becoming quite loose here at the end, and at some point you stop being afraid because you're not in a creepy scenario. And the tank control isn't really a problem for me, but I can understand the frustration behind it. But hey, I digress. At least they don't pull out gun and hide behind cover. Okay, I wrote that to make fun of Resident Evil 5 and 6, but I didn't remember there were sections like that in the game. You can't blame me on that. The point is, Resident Evil 4 makes you feel weak, and as you progress and get stronger, you stop feeling weak and stop feeling afraid. You get big machine gun, rocket launcher, and if you need ammunition, kick your way out of it. Now, it's an exaggeration, but you get what I mean. Resident Evil 8 tried to fix that by modernizing it and making it more appealing to the general audience. You can move while you shoot, but you can't roundhouse zombie. In exchange of that, they add a block button so that you can take more hit. A lot more than Leon ever could.
What the fuck? How am I alive?
Now, Resident Evil 8 has its problem around the area, because it's the NCS Resident Evil game I played, but at least it tried something. When you start to get your shit together and start having a lot of ammunition and gun, start feeling the groove, Capcom pull a fast one on you and take away your weapon to make you feel powerless again, without making you change character in the hallucination section. That just gives you more gameplay variation and help more in the horror department because of its surprise. And yeah, basically Resident Evil 8 is Resident Evil 4, but how I remember it. There's also the puppet scene with the hallucination that came from the prototype of Resident Evil 4. The one where Leon was infected and a hallucinate puppet attacking him while having a guy with a hook coming after him in those scenes. Just like the baby in Resident Evil 8. What's cool about that scene is that if you weren't scared before, this is the moment you will get more likely scared, because it's become a game like Outlast, and while sure you maybe didn't have a lot of ammunition, you could still destroy zombie and kick some ass. So being truly powerless when you weren't at some point make it more impactful and feel a lot more scarier. Just like back then in the old classic Resident Evil 1 game.
Resident Evil 2, 3.
Resident Evil 8 is 1, 2, 3.
When you enter the castle of Lady Dimitrescu, it's just like the classic Resident Evil. You're in a big place like the GCPD or like the Manor, and you walk through those tight corridors. You have some kind of stalker that follow you around the hall, though it doesn't have tentacle word BDSM design, but you know, it's kind of attractive. There's also the goal around this place that are few in between but show up in creepy moments like in the bloody cellar or in the dark basement. They all walk fairly slow and there's little bullets necessary to kill them. You have few weapons such as gun, shotgun, and
Resident Evil 5.
Resident Evil 8 is Resident Evil 5 and 6.
you fight against big guy with axe and ride a fucking tank to destroy a giant robot. Close to the end you get a big ammunition like grenade launcher and magnum that can destroy enemy with few bullets. There's Cyborg in this game with heavy armor that can take explosion damage, and there's Jetpack on there. The New Game Plus, forgot the name of the difficulty, make you shoot and explode horde of zombie like it's World War Z. Also you play with the strong boulder punching Chris that punch werewolf and zombie as if the thunder from Zeus personally hit them on the face. Well, technically it's not far-fetched when you look at those arms. God damn! While some people may say that Resident Evil 8 is too much action oriented, it's nowhere near Resident Evil 5 or 6 cover-based shooting and fighting against what is basically human action oriented. So you know, I think it's fine. I feel like it's much more closer to Resident Evil 4. The zombies stay more zombie-ish all the way through, and the max they do is wear armor. As I said, Resident Evil 8 is more like Resident Evil 4 compared to Resident Evil 7 that imitate more Resident Evil 1, the other class.
The mercenary is incredible.
I'm going to keep this one short. This mercenary mode is the one I had the most fun with, adding power up, making more addicted to try again and get better upgrade in the next try. And when you finally get the SS score in every mission, you get the cool looking lightsaber that kinda suck ass. Still, it looked cool and it feels so good to finally have it. Though, you know, Resident Evil 5 Mercenary is the best mercenary theme ever. Matter of fact, I'm probably making you listen to it right now. God damn, listen to this shit, man. Don't you feel like stressing? Like, oh my god, you're gonna die, but like, you kinda, yeah, I'm gonna kick some ass. You know, Resident Evil 5 is not that bad, guys. You know, maybe I'm talking shit a lot about it, but you know, just using example because fans didn't like it. But I kinda like it when I play with my brother because I didn't play with the shitty Shiva AI. Holy shit, I'm talking fast.
Resident Evil 8 is Resident Evil 8.
It makes you love a faceless character. A character that anyone can insert himself into while still being his own personality. Similar to the case of Spider-Man. You feel him when he's in grief and when he's tired. And laugh when he says his one-liner. You care about him as he could be yourself and understand his pain and struggle. For real, at first in Resident Evil 7 I didn't really care about Ethan. But at some point he started to say those one-liners and he got my heart kinda, you know, like. Also, it may be the only Resident Evil game with a sad ending. Making the main character die is a big choice that just made it more memorable in the end, I think. And yeah, basically the castle is pretty much the Resident Evil 1 section. The village is pretty much Resident Evil 4 section. Resident Evil 5 and 6 are pretty much the Heisenberg section. And Resident Evil 8 is its story and everything it had. Resident Evil 8 is an homage to the franchise. The cheesy dialogue and the one-liner, a badass main character with a monster that is stalking him. It's bombastic action scene with an amazing mercenary and a wonderful story. It also adds a snippet of its own thing. An everyday guy that is just trying to save the people he loves. A good lover and a great father. All of this makes Resident Evil 8 my new favorite Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 4 was my favorite Resident Evil game, so now you know why my thumbnail is called this way. Maybe time will tell and I'll disagree with this video in a couple of years, but the feeling I feel now is not a lie. Thank you Capcom for making this game, and thank you Ethan, the greatest dad ever. May you still be alive and see you in the sequel. Rest in peace. Your daughter is safe. You know, it's kinda sad that he fight his way to save his daughter and fight against Eisenberg so that he doesn't use Rose as a weapon. Until Chris used Rose as a weapon. Nice move, Chris. Jeez, man.